Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTEST.com, and today I'm on a boat that's meant to be away from the dock for weeks, possibly even months at a time. It's the Fleming 65, and she's made for passage making, whether it be crossing an ocean or circumnavigating the globe. So just how far can we go on this boat? Well, let's take a look as I conduct a performance evaluation. We'll begin by looking at the numbers.
Now we got underway in a sister ship to the one that we'll be walking through that was right alongside. Same boat, same power, but this one also included a joystick docking system with station keeping. I just wanted to see how well dialed in the joystick was to the mains and thrusters, so we chose this boat. And no surprise, it was spot on. Once away from the dock, I transitioned to the main engine controls and drove off as normal. As we made our way out the narrow fairway, I noticed excellent responsiveness to the helm with no delay in the fly-by-wire steering, and she's obviously got large rudders as she was quite reactive, even at low speeds. And fingertip control is all it takes. And soon enough, we were out into open water and ready to run. The Fleming Model 65 has a length overall of 70 feet 10 inches, a beam of 18 feet 8 inches, and a draft of 5 feet. With an empty weight of 102,698 pounds, full fuel, half water, and 5 people on board, we were heavily laden at 115,473 pounds. We tested in 1 to 2 foot swells, so not ideal conditions, but we still reached a top speed of 17.3 knots. But this boat isn't about speed, it's about distance, and the slower we go, the further she'll go. At 9.7 knots, she'll run 1,090.8 nautical miles. At 8.1, we calculated a range of 1,681 nautical miles, and at 5.3 knots, she'll keep going for 4,196 nautical miles. In other words, over 784 hours of steady cruising. Of course, this was with a 10% reserve of her 1,700-gallon total fuel capacity held back and calculated at full weight. Obviously, as she burns off fuel, she'll become even more efficient. More importantly though, she's quiet at all speeds. At her full range speed, she's whisper quiet at only 58.9 decibels. At full throttle, she's still only 68.2. For comparison, regular conversation is around 69 decibels. Now, she was producing a bit of spray in these conditions, but she remained rock stable throughout. Interestingly enough, even as yachts in this class are almost continually run on autopilot, her helms are ergonomically laid out for actually driving, even though we didn't do much hand steering. She's clearly made for being at sea, and it's easily felt while running with that stability. Everything about her, from her range to her storage to her livability, says just keep going. Of course, as with all tests, we had to give her back, so our return to the dock gave us another chance to experience her close quarters handling. For our return to the dock, I chose the cockpit station to back her into the slip, and as expected, it was a non-event with exacting precision. This is definitely an owner-operator's boat, and between her handling and redundant systems, she's as reliable as she is easy to drive. Now, let's look over her operational features.
First of all, there's a wealth of information coming to us from this very well laid out and well executed helm. It's coming from 12-inch screens, 14-inch screens, 19-inch screens, and then a pair of 15s. Of course, these are multifunction displays, so we can have any information we want on them. This center one, that gives us all of the information about the vessel's systems and functionality, and we can control everything from here, but that's all covered in another video on the technical aspects of this boat, so be sure to look for that. Let's break things down a little bit by function. This center panel gives you your autopilot, the controls for all of the displays, wiper controls, windlass controls, horn, and the chain wash. Just behind is a 28-inch vertically mounted destroyer wheel, stainless steel with wood spokes. To the left-hand side, there's another controller for the forward screens, and like the one that we saw earlier, this can be used to program either one screen or all of them. They're interchangeable. It can also be mounted to the armrest of the helm chair. Just alongside is your forward-looking infrared controller and the controller for the cameras located throughout the vessel. To the right side are the digital engine controls, the bow and stern hydraulic thrusters, the main engine start-stops, and the backup controls. Overhead are more secondary controls. Entertainment center, the control for the stabilizer fins, first VHF, a row of Furuno displays, and all these provide selectable information, but why select? We can just get a bunch of them and show it all at once. Secondary VHF, control for the water maker, and then controls for the speakers. Down below, working table space, drawer storage, convenient grab handle, breakers for the 120 volt and 240 volt systems. Over to the port hand side, all of your main battery switches, your controls for the port and starboard generator, main ignitions, and then all of the electrical for the hot buses. These stay live even when the master is turned off. Just alongside, the main inverter control, and then the 3 switches for your Furuno black boxes. Right alongside, more working desk space and drawer storage underneath. And notice we have 2 rails here and directly across. We can put a filler piece here with a cushion on top, and now we've created a berth for the off watch. And look at the beautiful fit and finish that we're already seeing on this boat. Wood vents for the air conditioning system, beautiful wood trim around all of the consoles, raised wood trim giving us an edge all the way around, grab handles everywhere on this boat. It's made for being underway. And look at this, when it's time to do some servicing, you can easily open up these panels to get behind the panel. The helm seat is a double wide. It's made by Stid. It includes flip footrests, flip armrests, and it's manually adjustable fore and aft, and also for recline. Just behind, L-shaped seating so we can join the captain and the observer while we're underway. This will probably be one of the more popular places while we're underway. Now notice to both sides, we have watertight doors that lead us out to the Portuguese bridge. Let's take a look. Notice there are boarding doors to the sides, 24-inch wide side decks. Rails are topping out at 34 inches, grab rails all the way around. There's storage underneath the bulwarks for the Portuguese bridge, and 2 entries, 1 to each side, that open on a gas assist strut. Making our way forward, look at this, heavy-duty cleats, hawse holes. There's storage to 3 sides of the trunk cabin. They also house pads that can go on top for conversion to a sun pad. And then we've got an elevated platform for the ground tackle. Here it consists of 2 Maxwell windlasses leading out to a pair of ultra anchors, a 45 and a 60 kilogram, mounted on top of the pulpit. To the sides, we have wash down, fresh and raw water. And onto this side, 2 50-amp shore power connections. This is 2 of the 4 on this boat. 2 in the bow, 2 in the stern, and we can activate any 2 as desired. There are also step-up transformers, so when we connect to 110 volt, we can step it up to 240 volt. In the center is access to the road storage locker. 400 feet of chain for each anchor, and it is 60 grade stainless steel chain. I'd like to see a high raised edge around all of this so that when we wash down the chains as they're coming aboard, the water will run into drains and then overboard instead of onto the foredeck. Now as we make our way back, the side decks have an average width of 23 inches. Bulwarks come up 32 inches. Grab rail. Clearly this is an ocean-going boat. More grab rails running the full length of the cabin sides. 23-inch wide side decks. Rails now top out at 28 inches. There's another side boarding gate. This, of course, repeated to the opposite side. There's protection 7 feet 4 inches overhead that comes out 28 inches. Notice there are rod holders. This is, again, repeated to the opposite side. 15-inch cleats to either side of a hawse hole, and that takes us to the aft deck. 1, 2, 3 15-inch cleats, 2 hawse holes leading through the bulwarks, 2 more 50-amp shore power connections. In the corner, large drains will take any ship's water that comes into the aft deck and bring it right overboard.
Raised platforms can be fitted to the 2 quarters that can easily accommodate warping winches and shore power connectivity.
In the forward starboard corner, it's a cockpit control station with the bow and stern thrusters, engine start stops, digital engine controls. We also have the fire suppression and the fuel shutoff. Just underneath is storage. In the aft deck, there are 2 hatches that lead us to lazarette storage, but the main engine room access is right here. And when I open this up, notice there's also a safety handle that I can swing out and put into position. Well, certainly a lot to talk about in here. First off, 41 inches of headroom. Directly to port, primary and secondary water pumps for our freshwater. Our freshwater tanks are just behind either side, and I've got a sight tube showing the water level. Just aft is the air conditioning system. All across here is the water maker system. Here's our 1,800 gallon per day water maker. There's our main water filter. We can see our steering gear. Over to the opposite side, there's our main membranes for the water filter. Here's all of our electrical monitoring system that we showed you on the screen in the pilot house. Our ISOBoost transformers, this is giving us clean power no matter where we are hooking up in the world. And I've got a DC power panel. Now let's head forward into the engine room. First of all, 4 feet 10 inches of average headroom. The main attraction being the twin MAN i6 800 horsepower engines, and they are turning straight shafts, leading to C-torque enclosed shaft systems. Let's look at some of the systems in the engine room, starting aft into port. First of all, we have an enclosed 1200 amp house battery system, 7,000 watt inverters, and then I can see remote battery switches on the port bulkhead. Just ahead, the first 21.5 kW generator. Now further ahead, look at this, a 40-gallon hot water tank, and that is heated by electric and by the engine. I can see the oil reservoir for the C-torque system. Let's take a look at the back of the engine. Look at this. A clutched PTO with a hydraulic pump, silencer, and notice that there's a crossover going to the hydraulic tank, which is over to the starboard side. And talk about attention to detail. Notice that there's a sight glass with a mirror just in front of it so we can see the sight glass. I can see the exhaust system is well supported and insulated, and look at this, it's all connected to an exhaust water lift muffler. And right up on top, there's a water flow meter so we can see at a glance that we have water flow going through here. And look at this for another thoughtful touch. There's a mirror on the far side of the engine so we can see over there. And I can't help but notice that everything is double clamped. And look at this, here's the compressor for the Kallenberg air horn. I like that they put that in the engine room because it's kind of noisy. And even that is on vibration absorbing mounts. We have duplex fuel water separators for each engine, and then the primary filters for the engines, and then filters for the generators. And look at this underneath, custom made bowls under each one. Just ahead, I've got a sight gauge for the coolant level, and then all the way to the outside, I can see the inside of the track stabilizers, 9 square foot fins. Overhead, I've got one of the 2 cameras that we have full control over and a smoke detector. On the starboard side, there's a mirror so I can see the outboard side of that engine. And there's an accumulator tank for the stabilization system so that builds up pressure for at-rest stabilization. And as I make my way aft, look at this, I love a dedicated owner. A perfectly sorted toolbox with soft close drawers. And hey, he's even got my tape measure. Just behind the second 21.5 kW generator, and it's mounted to a hardwood base, and between the base and the generator, 6 vibration absorbing mounts. So we again get no vibration going through this boat. Engine start batteries, remote battery switches up above, and master volt battery charging system. Now, our second operating station is in the flying bridge, up a 10-inch elevated platform. Again, a double-wide stid seat, ultra leather upholstery, raised armrests, and flip-down footrests. And oh, look at this wheel. I really have to appreciate the beautiful rope work on this. The main panel consists of a pair of 14-inch displays, a center 16-inch display, compass just ahead, thruster controls, engine controls, the engine start-stops, windlass controls, Furuno display, stabilizer control, autopilot, and a VHF, all port side mounted. Now just behind there's a boat deck. This is a 12.5-foot rib, and it's launched with a 1,500-pound lift capacity crane that swings out, extends, and moves up and down. Over to the port hand side in the corner, another control station with digital throttle controls, bow and stern thruster, engine start stops underneath, and then storage. Just ahead, storage for the life raft. So we've got a transoceanic passage maker with an unparalleled level of comfort, stability both underway and at rest, joystick functionality, even position keeping joystick, all coming together in the Fleming 65. And that is my full performance evaluation. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.